When we moved in, our closet had just basic wire shelving. It was crowded and chaotic. The door actually hit the hangers when it closed, so it was usually left open, which meant the entire mess was always on full display. Welcome to episode 3 of From Mattress to Makeover, our primary bedroom reno. In this episode, I'm taking you behind the scenes of our custom closet build, how we planned it, how we built it, and how we made it work for my husband and I, all while staying on budget. First, I started by clearing everything out of the closet and removing the old shelves. For months, our clothes bounced around our house. Here they are in our guest room. That's where they started until our son decided to move into this room. Psst, future project coming. Last episode, you saw them in our basement living room. That's where they went to die. Joking. Sort of. I do forget what's down there and tend to only wear what's on my temporary clothes rack that's just outside our room. We already tackled the plank ceiling in episode 2, which instantly made the closet feel upgraded. This closet isn't huge, so I had to be really intentional with the layout, the build process, and the materials to make it functional and efficient. Enough chatting. Let's get started. So far, I have completed the ceiling and installed the light fixture. If you can't tell, here's a hidden attic access up there. Today, we are starting on the base, the cabinetry, and then hopefully we'll get the dressers installed and we'll go from there. Here we go.
Okay, this bench can go. We don't need that anymore. Now, I brought in a piece of lumber and the baseboard, and I'm checking over my design just to make sure that I get the framing measurements accurate. This door trim can go, we don't need that anymore. I'm gonna cut my lumber to length out in the garage and do the assembly here in the closet. I'm using 3-inch screws and my driver to assemble the frame. I'm putting it up against the wall so that I have some counter pressure when I drive those screws in. And I'm using my carpenter square to make sure everything is perfectly square before I drive in those screws. Now, I did the framing in 3 separate pieces. 1 for the back wall and 2 for the side wall, because I didn't have a piece of lumber that was the length I needed for this portion here. And the frame is just set down on top of the carpet right now to get an idea of the fit. Now that I know it fits, I'm going to tape it off with tape, and then I'm going to cut out the carpet and the underlayment because I want that framing to lay directly on the subfloor to minimize any movement. So this is my first time removing carpet. I'm just using an X-Acto knife to cut through that carpet and then cut through the underlayment. Carpet and underlay is up. I now have to move the tack strips that holds down this portion of the carpet. Need some gloves for that because they tacky. Now we need to move those carpet tacks. So here I am just pulling up the carpet, and then I'm going to pry up the existing carpet tacks so we can reuse them using a pry bar and a hammer. And I'm going to put it into place, and it's easy enough to snap it to break it to length. And then I'm going to nail those nails down into the subfloor and pull the carpet over and kind of just push it into the tack strip that's sticking up. Once I have all the tack strips into place, I'm going to cut off the excess carpet and underlay that I left.
Okay, here it goes. Carpet is up. Tack strips have been moved. Carpet is back down. These bad boys in here. Nice. Look at that. Not bad for a first timer. Would you look at that? Perfect. Now I just get the level, secure them.
Now that our base framing is complete and directly on our subfloor, we can start leveling and adding shims where necessary before securing into the wall studs. Now at this point, I was so excited. I just had to see the dressers in the closet. So my husband helped me move them in so I could get a full visual on what this closet was going to look like. So day 2 is all about ripping down plywood. Now, as you can see, I'm setting down some support pieces, then I'm gonna lay a full sheet of plywood over top. I don't have a track saw, so my tried and true method is my circular saw with a straight edge, and it works just fine for me. These are the base pieces that will go over top of our base framing, and we'll just screw them right on top of this base framing. So you'll see that I didn't have the exact length I needed for this sidewall, but that's okay. I found a filler piece and it's not going to show because the dresser actually goes right over top of this filler piece. So next up, we're going to rip down our vertical paneling, and I actually did that with my tried and true circular saw method, but I did it a little wide and then I ripped it down on my table saw to make sure that they were each the exact same length. And to end day 2, we're gonna make a run to the hardware store to get the few things we need for day 3.
What are you guys doing? Just testing out the patio furniture? Oh. All right, so the top piece is nailed down. Dressers are just sitting in place right now. I have the vertical pieces cut to width. I have to cut them to length, and we'll get those installed today.
So yesterday we cut all these panels to width, and now today we need to use the miter saw to cut them to length. So I am measuring and marking using my tape measure and my carpenter's square. After we cut these to length, I do have one panel that I need to take a piece out so that it can fit around the light switch. Now the easiest way to do that is to mark and measure where the switch is, and then use a drill and drill out all 4 inside corners of that piece. And then you will put your jigsaw blade right into those drill holes and just cut along the marks that you make, just like this. Now, after that, every single panel needs to be drilled with pocket holes on the bottom so that it can attach to the base. Now that my pieces are all cut, I'm going to bring them into my closet to dry fit the length just to make sure everything fits good. And if I need to take off any excess, I can still do that.
Ah, so exciting! The closet is taking shape. Woo! Alright, so I added some wood glue. I'm gonna put this panel in, screw it into the studs, and pocket screw it into the base.
To install the vertical paneling, I used wood glue and pocket screws, screwing the pocket screws right into the base to help me keep things, oh, look at that cut. To help me keep things level, I used my 4-foot level as well as my laser level. Here I am screwing in those pocket screws. I like to keep a wet rag on hand to wipe out any excess glue. Here I am using my laser level. It really helped on pieces like this that weren't near a wall. And then I also attached the vertical paneling into the dresser where I could.
If you're still watching, comment below and hit that subscribe button. You'll be entered to win our weekly launch prize. Okay, so we have 2 vertical panels installed, this one here and that one there. So what I did here was just bump the dresser out with a 1x2 there and 1x2 on the bottom. That'll snug up when I attach this side. And what we did in here was attach the dresser with a few screws to this vertical panel, and then we're going to do the same on this side.
stud. All right, the side panel is up. Since I made the depth of this deeper than the IKEA Tarba, I have ripped some 2x4s down to about, I don't know, 2 3/4. And we'll put one along the top like that. And we'll also slide one at the bottom. And then this will just sit right up against it. Okay, move this dresser in. So the wall is a little bowed right here. So I'm going to actually glue this piece on. I would glue it there. And then I'll be able to fill this seam with caulking. I could brace it in here. Little L braces. Let's see what I have. Alright, I had some corner braces on hand, so I was able to brace this piece. It's nice and level. So we got one here and one here. And I dropped one corner brace back in behind here, so whoever decides to redo this will find a unused corner brace.
As you can see, our base has been installed, our vertical paneling has been installed, all except for one, which is going right about where I am. The dressers have both been installed, and next up is the horizontal shelving. So I have cut all those pieces and drilled the pocket holes, so they are ready to be installed. Once they're installed, we'll move on to wood filler, caulking, and priming. It's really coming together, and I'm so excited you're here for the journey. Appreciate you.
All right, we're gonna install the horizontal shelf. So I cut some supports at the exact length I want this space to be, and that will help us support it as we install. Since these are only attached to the dresser and the ground, I am going to nail this there, I think. Those aren't the right supports. All right, so I'm gonna put this one in first. Well, that wasn't the smoothest install, but it's good. Perfect. Now, I'm going to slide this in right here. This one's tight. we got it sitting on the support. I'm gonna put this back screw in. I want this shelf to be level with the top of the desk. Alright, that's solid. I am installing the horizontal shelving the exact same way I installed the vertical paneling, using wood glue and pocket holes. As you saw earlier, I cut 2 pieces of wood to act as extra hands. All the horizontal pieces are in except for this corner piece up here, which I needed to nail on a few extra pieces just to help me hold that in place while I screwed it in. It was kind of tricky to get it in there, but I did it. All right, so the corner shelf is in. It's up there. I was debating closing that corner off, but I'm gonna leave her open just like the rest of them. So next up, we gotta face frame all the plywood edges. And you know what? I kind of hit the jackpot on some offcuts from a previous project that I think are going to be the exact size that I need.
Part 1 was all about planning and structure. It was a big push, and I'm so happy with how the space is starting to come together. In part 2, we'll focus on all the finishing details, from trim work and paint prep to painting and pulling the whole closet build together.
I was weighing between the options of spraying versus rolling and brushing, and I decided...
Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment so you don't miss the next episode, and so you're entered to win our weekly launch giveaway. I can't wait to show you the final results. See you in episode 4.